That is a very dramatic title, I know, stay with me. Anime is an art form that holds dear to a shit ton of people. In my case, yeah, it's really important and means a lot to me. I've made 2 videos talking about it, neither of them being that good, mind you, but you get the point. If something is important enough to me to put in the time to create something just purely expressing my love for the medium, then it's gotta be super important to me. But today's video isn't actually about that. If the analytics show anything, those videos didn't actually do very well at getting my point across about how much the medium actually means to me and has shaped me as a person. So, to properly get my point across this time, we're gonna start with a story, and it's my story. The story of how anime saved me. My anime fandom starts where most people's did in my weeb generation, Pokemon. I, like so many of you, had their first exposure to anime through Pokemon. Though not knowing Pokemon was anime at this point, it enthralled me. I loved the show, I loved the movies, I loved the cards. Fuck the cards. If there's a child equivalent to crack for me as a child, it was Pokemon cards. Actually, all of my friends and a lot of my primary school was completely addicted to Pokemon cards for a while there, so much so it actually got banned. But even back then, I kinda took it to the next level compared to my friends, considering I watched the anime and no one else did. Fast forward to 2014. I had just moved schools and there was a huge social shift, because no one wanted to play Pokemon with me anymore. Pokemon just wasn't cool anymore. They didn't want to trade the cards or play the games, and if you watched the anime, buddy, you were getting bullied. So sadly, that was it. I cut all my ties. I was officially too cool for Pokemon. I mean, of course I still love Pokemon on the inside, but not being able to outwardly express your interest to people kind of makes them fade. I didn't really have the will or the means to outwardly express my interest for Pokemon anymore, so my addiction to Pokemon and my roots to anime were cut. Fast forward again to high school. I thought 7th grade was going to be stepping through the golden gates because I'm a big boy now. But when I stepped through those golden gates, I slipped, fell, and continued to keep on falling down the fucking stairwell that someone left next to the doorway. At the beginning of high school, I drifted into an incredibly dark place. I had started getting bullied because I was overweight and I was super shy and awkward and I played video games like the nerd I was. Those and many other things compiled together sent me into a really, really deep depression. Although it wasn't all bad. Well, it was bad. But because of how bad it was getting, I felt like I needed to find a way to hide my emotions, so I took up my interest in acting and actually ended up really enjoying it, so thanks. But then again, like I said before, not being able to outwardly express my emotions really hurt me. Having to internalize everything just felt like a huge weight on my shoulders, and eventually it just got too much. I won't go too far into how these feelings made me feel and what they made me do, but to put it simply, I started turning to self-harm, and I let dark thoughts overtake my life for a good while there. I am planning on eventually, when I'm feeling better overall, making a video about my experiences with mental health. But for now, just know that at this point in my life, I felt like I had no real friends and I felt alone. But one day, when I was scouring the internet, I found a review for a Japanese cartoon. You know, I've actually always had a fondness for cartoons. They were actually one of my main distractions while I was going through this very dark period. So when seeing this image attached to an article about a cartoon from Japan, I was very intrigued. I had found an article for a show called Hyouka by Kyoto Animation. Hearing about a plot that sounded so much more adult and meaningful just sounded so amazing to me. And finally, when I did find it, upon watching the first episode, I know I'd found something special. It was just so simple and quiet, but I loved the characters and something about them just drew me in. Needless to say, I stayed up all night watching it and had to go to school on absolutely no sleep, but it didn't bother me. I was so excited. I've always had to deal with not being able to control my emotions, and I always fall into really bad depressive episodes, but all in all, I'm an empath. I find it super easy to put myself in other people's situations and take on their emotions. So watching this show that was so adorable and relatable and the characters went through actual growth made me feel amazing. Upon finishing the show and realizing that it didn't actually have a proper ending, I was left feeling determined to find other media like this. Media that was fun and meaningful and, most importantly, made me feel something. I started my search, and very quickly I found a recently released movie called A Silent Voice. The movie had crazy high reviews, and kinda ticked off all of the criteria for what I was actually looking for. I found it on another shady website and proceeded to watch it through. Now, those who have seen the movie know that it actually does dive into some pretty heavy themes like depression, suicide, and guilt. Something you have to understand about me is that at this point in time, I thought I was the only one that felt like this. I thought that I was on my own and this is something that I have to suffer through alone. But watching a movie with characters that felt the same way that I do, and it was driving them to similar points that I felt like I needed to go to, was insane to me. After I'd finished the movie, I was at a loss for words. Something that stuck with me is that it had a happy ending. Characters that felt the same way as me had a happy ending. I just sat in my bed crying for about an hour after I finished the movie, but while this time of the night was usually reserved for self-loathing and crying about how much I hate myself, I was crying for just the opposite. I had hope. For someone so usually depressed and feeling awful after everything, feeling hope was just the greatest feeling I had felt in such a long time. This began a chain of events where I was researching and trying to find solutions for the way that I was feeling, because I knew that I'm not alone anymore. While I've made strides, I'm definitely nowhere near where I'd like to be and where I need to be. But if I hadn't been set off by that article making me eventually watch the movie and make me motivated to find my own happy ending, I probably wouldn't even be here right now. I have anime to thank for a lot. So many of my close friendships, amazing worlds and stories that I've been able to put myself into, my interests in voice acting and animation, and most of my interest came because I wanted to get into anime, and I honestly can't thank the medium enough. There was a lot left out of this story for lack of relevance, and by no means am I saying that anime was my saving grace. There are so many other steps and procedures that you have to go through when you're trying to heal, especially when it comes to mental health. Like I said, I'm definitely going to be making a video on my mental health in the future, but I need to be in a better place first so I can use the video to help people. So while anime definitely was not the only thing that helped me through the dark time, it's played such an integral part of who I am, and I would not be the same person today if it weren't for anime. It's been a huge contributing factor to why I'm able to sit here and tell you today that while I might not be right now, I'm on my way to being okay. I'm not ashamed of what I love. I'm a fucking nerd. I love building computers and drawing made-up things and singing songs in a language I barely understand and watching Highschool DxD. And I'm proud to say that anime has been one of the biggest impacts in my life. Thank you, anime, for inspiring me to better myself, for providing entertainment, and most importantly, helping me see the light at the end of the tunnel. If you'll have me, I would love to end this video with a quote. Hope doesn't come from physical capacity. It comes from physical attributes. Like anime titties. Mahatma Gandhi. Thank you everyone, like and subscribe, ring the bell, and most importantly, go watch some anime. Okay? I'm out. Bye.